In this lesson, I'm going to show you how to string up your guitar, whether you have a broken string just like I do, or you want to change out your full set. I'm going to show you how to do it on a solid headstock, on a slotted headstock, on a pinned bridge, and also one of these bridges where you feed the strings through. I have a few tips that I've picked up over the years, and I'm going to show you them at the end, so stick around for those bonuses. I used to break a lot of strings when I was gigging, sometimes up to 2 or 3 a gig, so I learned how to tune up pretty fast. Since then, I've changed my playing style a bit, and I've brought that number down to 1 every 2 gigs, thankfully. So first, you're going to want to grab yourself a pack of acoustic guitar strings. When I'm on tour or I have the money, I use Elixir mediums, either polyweb or nanoweb. They just last a lot longer and they don't break as easily. Then when I'm at home and I just break a random string, or I just want to throw it on one of my guitars, I use DADGAD Phosphor Bronze. My best advice when choosing strings would be to try out different brands over the months and years, try out different gauges from light, medium and heavy, and you'll find out what suits you and your style, your guitar and your budget. 2 good investments would be a guitar string winder to get those strings on and off a bit faster. Some of them come with a little clipper which cleans things up when you have the strings back on, and some of them also have a little hook because sometimes those pins get stuck in the guitar and you want to pull them out, and this clipper will help. Secondly, you could grab one of these tuners like a snark tuner just to tune up when you have the strings back on. Take off the old strings on the guitar by tuning down and then winding the string out of the machine head. Then take out the pegs on the bridge of the guitar and the strings will pop out. So here's my first tip that I learned years ago. If you don't have a pin winder with one of those hooks to get the stuck peg out, you can use 2 coins to prise out the pin. Now you have to be careful not to mark the veneer of the guitar or the bridge, but you can get that pin out with 2 coins. So once you have those old strings off, I want you to put them aside. I'm going to show you a little trick towards the end, a little bonus to save money or if you're stuck for strings. Now open the new pack of strings. We're going to get that ball end, we're going to put it in the hole and put the peg in behind it. We're going to pull it, tug it, so that it is tight and sticks in there. You feed it up through the hole of the machine head and you make sure that it's locked in place at the nut right here. Before we start tuning up, we want to give our strings a little bit of slack so that when we start winding, everything will be nice and tight. We then want to create a little notch in the string so it stays in place. For the E, A and D string, you want to feed the string in towards the middle of the headstock and then around towards you. So it goes in and towards you. So anti-clockwise for the E, A and D string. So then it's going to be the opposite direction for the G, B and E string. You're going to lock it in place down at the bridge. You're going to feed the string up and it's going to be going clockwise around for the G, B and E string. It's going in towards the middle and away from you. In and away, in and away. And then when we're happy and that string is tuned up correctly, we want to cut off the excess. Here's a quick warning about stringing up. You're probably going to get stabbed by one of those strings at some stage, but that's a rite of passage. So here's my second tip that I learned years ago. It also uses 2 coins. So if you want to clean that string up but you don't have a clippers, you grab the string with your 2 coins, you twist and you pull, and that will curl up the string and keep it out of your way. Another thing that I do all the time after stringing up and tuning up is to release that new tension, is to grab each string starting down here at the bridge and working up and just slightly tugging on it all the way up to the nut, and do that for each string. That will get rid of that new tension in the string. You'll have to tune up again, but once you do tune up again, it will stay in tune for a good while. Pinned bridges are the most common on acoustic guitars, but you can find bridges like this where you slot the string through a lot easier, and that's just a case of feeding it right through at the start. Then when it comes to headstocks, you have different machine heads on slotted headstocks. In my opinion, they're a little trickier to get tuned up. They take a bit more time, but here's the process. You feed the new strings through as before. You give yourself a little bit of slack. You make a notch in the string. You cut the excess away. And then when tuning up on slotted headstocks, you feed the 2 E strings inwards. So when you're winding up those 2 E strings, you make sure the strings are feeding in towards the center of the headstock. Then when it comes to the A, D, G and B strings, you feed the strings outward toward the outside of the headstock. This stops the strings from rubbing against the wood on the inside of the headstock. So as a bonus, I wanted to show you how you can bring those old strings back to life. I used to do this all the time when I was in college and I didn't have money. First, you'll wrap those old strings up and you'll put them in a pot. Then to speed things up, I'm going to stick on the kettle. You put the boiling water into the pot and you put that on the stove. And you boil those strings on the stove for about 10 to 15 minutes. After 10 or 15 minutes, make sure not to scald yourself, drain the boiling water off. Then you do the trickiest part, which is unraveling the strings. You get a cloth and you can scrape off that grime that has been stuck inside in those strings. Clean those strings up as much as you can and you'll see the grime wipe off on the cloth. So then when you put your old strings back on the guitar, you'll hear that zing, you'll hear that bright sound again. And back in the day, this helped me to no end when I was stuck for strings. So hopefully if there's anyone out there that found this useful, let me know in the comments. So I hope you found that video helpful on how to string up your guitar. The next video you want to watch is how to tune down to DADGAD using your ears. So here's that video and I will talk to you on the next one.